Hello, my name is Sinerias, and here in this video I will be showing you how to master Master Yi. This is the Big Master Yi Guide. For those of you who do not know who I am, here I have some screenshots. I've been a Challenger Master Yi player for years, and I've been the only Challenger Master Yi player on the EU West server. I peaked even rank 6 about 3 weeks ago, and next season I will be rank 1.
My blade is yours.
So let's talk about the runes. I take lethal tempo in 85% of my games, and in the other 15 I take Hail of Blades. Of course there's a lot of funny other runes you can take on Master Yi, but this guide is serious and I do not give a shit. We are only talking about valid options. Lethal Tempo and Hail of Blades. Conqueror is not an option. Prestige Tag is not an option. Electrocute? No, that's not an option as well. Okay, now let's get a little bit more serious here. Why is Lethal Tempo so strong and why would I recommend it every single time? So basically, the bonus attack speed you get and the bonus attack range is especially for Master Yi extremely important. You deal the most damage with your auto attacks, and being able to get more attack speed within every auto attack just gives you an extreme pressure and helps you win fights you would never ever win without Lethal Tempo. There are many more reasons why Lethal Tempo is extremely strong, but this is the most important and we will go on the next rune now. So basically, out of all these three, Triumph is by far the best. Why is that? Because in the most fights, especially in the late game, you will be able to get at least a few kills, and the restored health you get from there is just extremely important and helps you win a lot of fights as well. It is not even debatable, it is the best. And the next one, Alacrity, Tenacity, Bloodline. This is a discussion I have many times and I'm here to help you guys out on that one. So, let me get that clear. Alacrity is the best in 90% of all games. Bloodline is not an option because you always do more DPS with Alacrity and the sustain you get from Bloodline is a joke. Tenacity is good in some games. You need to keep in mind that the more Tenacity you buy or get, the lower percentage of the Tenacity you're buying you're getting out of it. Basically, if you're buying Tenacity Mercs, and as well you have Tenacity in Runes, you will not have the full amount of Tenacity, which says it on the paper, you will have a little bit more less. So it's important to have at least one Tenacity income and not 2 or 3. Just in some games when enemies have an insane amount of CC, I would recommend to have more than one Tenacity income. Taking the green monster gives you already Tenacity in Runes or Mercs. In most of the times when I need Tenacity, I take Mercs and Alacrity. I love to take Berserkers and Alacrity though, and Tenacity right now is not even that really needed because most of the times you're able to outplay enemies in terms of you have a Q, you have a W to annoy them, to outplay them. And in many games, when you play it correctly, enemies will have no chance to perfectly see you anyways. Another thing people talk a lot on my streams especially is if coup de grace is better or last stand, and then they come to me like, but my last stand deals more damage than my coup de grace. Yeah, basically coup de grace is better in 95% of the games. Why is that? Because you need it to execute people. There will be games where your last stand deals more damage than coup de grace, but still coup de grace is better because it executes people way better. Last stand is an option, I think it's okay, but I personally think Master is more like the guy who will kill people when they are low, engage on people you can kill, so coup de grace is better, and I have way better experience on taking coup de grace, so I would recommend you to take that as well. Now let's start with the red tree. Alright. So, on the red tree, there are many options you can take. You can take Sudden Impact, you can take Eyeball Collection, you can take Treasure Hunter, Relentless Hunter. My experience, Treasure Hunter is the best because it is the most gold efficient. Master Yi is the most gold scaling champion in the game. Keep that in mind. Eyeball Collection is just very, very nice to stack. And Sudden Impact, yeah, that's good. But Eyeball Collection is simply better in my opinion. Because the damage you get on Sudden Impact is a little bit flat, but it's not needed. And Eyeball Collection just is more impactful, and also, I'm talking always about my experience, I have way better experience on that one. Attack speed, always 80. Armor, you can take magic resist on the bottom in some games, but I barely do it, because if I need tenacity or and magic resist, I simply buy mercs anyways. So let us talk about the other runes on second page, which is sorcery, resolve, and inspiration. So I keep it very simple. There are a lot of good options, there are a lot of interesting ideas, but domination is by far the best. And as second option, there's resolve with bone plating and unflinching, just to have more tenacity if you need it, and bone plating so the enemies can't burst you down. Keep in mind, burst is Master Yi's counter. Everything else, you can take it if you want it. It's no point in even talking about it. I think it's not that good. It can be strong, but you need to keep in mind there are many things that can work, but still there are things that are simply better. And now the next rune page, it is Hail of Blades. So Hail of Blades is very similar to Lethal Tempo with the other runes. You take Sudden Impact because you want to have this anyways, Eyeball Collection, Treasure Hunter. You have still Triumph and Alacrity because that's better than Coup de Grace. Attack speed, AD, armor, or magic resist, so everything is completely similar. The only thing that changes is your core rune, that's Hail of Blades or Lethal Tempo. Hail of Blades is good on when you want to burst someone down very, very fast, if that is the most important. If you want to be very cheesy, if you have an Ignite Master Yi playstyle, if you have a cheesy Invade Master Yi playstyle, Hail of Blades is very interesting. And as well, when you play Master Yi mid lane, Hail of Blades gives you, is not only strong, but also gives you pressure to burst the enemy down, and the enemies need to respect that, otherwise you will kill them. As well, on ADC Master Yi, on top lane Master Yi can be interesting, even though there I also like Lethal Tempo more. I even take Duskblade Master Yi, I take Hail of Blades almost 100% of the times. There are ideas, so with Duskblade, where you take Rageblade and Blade of Rune King, and that with Lethal Tempo, that's also fine, but I would recommend to take Hail of Blades on the Duskblade Poon page. You can even take Hail of Blades on Crit 1. You can even take it on hit 1. I just think it's not that efficient. It can be very sneaky. It's a very interesting playstyle, and I really enjoy that this is viable as well. Alright, so after everything I explained on what you should take on the Master Yi runes, I think you completely are stupid if you take anything else now, because then this entire video is a little bit pointless, no? Okay. So, that is everything about the runes. There's not more information, of course, everything can change, so just check out my stream if you want to know if something needs to be updated. And that's about the runes. And now we're starting to talk about the Pokemon. That is why we changed the color now. Alright, starting off with the red Pokemon. It's literally garbage, don't ever take that. And here we are back on the blue one. The blue Pokemon is pretty interesting, because it's pretty funny. You can literally get movement speed after killing a camp, and with that you can instantly burst people down or just one-shot people. And I really, really like that. But it is not that efficient as the one I will talk about right now. But if you want to take the blue one, it's just, I mean, it's nice if you want to play like assassin builds, or any assassin builds, like the Duskblade, like Crit 1. It's also nice if you are not really wanting to play front to back, if you are wanting to play like a little bit more sneaky, a little bit more like a Shaco playstyle, you know, where you like try to dance with people. Yeah, then the blue one is the thing for you. And now we finally come to the green one. That is the best. Why is it the best? No, it's not the best because it's broken. It is the best because you literally get a shield with tenacity. This is what I've wanted for years for Master Yi. This is made for Master Yi. Take it! And that's it. Like, get me one more thing clear on the red one, it's not entirely garbage. The Pokemon will probably be changed throughout the seasons many times. And do keep in mind, Pokemons are very easy to change. You just buy the other one the next game. Whatever's meta there on the Pokemons, just hit me up on the stream and you will know it. Now let's talk about Master Yi, his items. First of all, I'm gonna start with what I think is the best item build for Master Yi, and it is Kraken Slayer, Blade of the Rune King into Rage Blade. Those three items make your champion an absolute monster. Buy them. If Blade of the Rune King gets nerfed at some point, I would just recommend to ignore it, just buy Kraken Slayer into Rage Blade. Maybe Wits End then, and then you have enough damage as well. But for now, since it's so strong, just recommend Kraken, Blade of the Rune King into Rage Blade. If you ask me why this is the best build, it's very simple. It just deals the most DPS, and you are allowed to have, like, since you have so much damage, you have an insane amount of pressure. Another item build I've been going is the Dustblade one. I think it's still viable. And about the Dustblade one, I would only recommend it against very squishy targets. Don't buy it against tanks, it's very weak. Also, you will be hard outscaled. The best part of the Dustblade build is probably once you hit two items, Blade of the Rune King and Duskblade. The build itself is pretty simple. You buy Dirk at the beginning, then you go for Blade of the Rune King, then you're gonna finish Duskblade, and then you're gonna buy Rageblade, also with Berserker's Grease. The reason? Buying more lethality items is pretty useless. Riot Games kinda changed it in a way that it is simply not strong. I would not recommend it. The reason why you kinda build on it with the Duskblade build, but it's still very nice to buy Duskblade, and at some point you still have lethality, you know. The reason why it is working and why I take it myself is because of the stealth. Like, Master Yi uses the Dustblade stealth probably the best out of all champions in the entire game. Like, once you kill someone and you are in stealth, you have time to wait 1 second, then you're gonna auto attack, W, auto attack, and Q again, and you can repeat that every single time until you've killed the entire enemy team. So the Dustblade build it's very fun to play. We talked about the runes already. I take the Hail of Blades most of the times with the Dustblade build, almost every single time. But yeah, I take Dustblade almost, I would say, like around 20% of my games, maybe 30% of my games, but it really depends on the elo you're playing in. If you play more against squishy people, you can buy the build more often. I really enjoy it. And those two item builds are the only viable ones, I would say. Everything else, we will talk about every other item build right now, which I think is still optional. But you need to keep in mind, I think those two items builds, those are the best. Before we talk about other Yi build paths you can go, I want to talk about his shoes. So there are 3 options, and beside that, everything else is kind of like a troll, or like you take it for fun, you enjoy it, you just simply enjoy the game, right? But the 3 options that are the only viable options are Mercs, Steel Caps, and Berserker's Grease. In 80% of my games I take Berserkers, and let's say 70% I take Berserkers, in 20% I take Mercs, and in 10% I take Steel Caps. I think Berserkers is just extremely strong on Master Yi, especially when you go lethal tempo, because you cannot cap on attack speed anyways, and it just helps you to be a big threat which enemies need to take care of. And if they don't take care of you, then you'll just kill everyone. And having this immense pressure is just way more impactful than having some resistances. In some games, as I said, I take Mercs because it is simply needed if they have too much CC, if they have point and click CC like Leona. Obviously, we need some Mercs. And Steel Caps I simply take when the enemies have too much AD on their team comp. Then I think Steel Caps is just very, very important to buy in general, not only on Master Yi, but in every single jungle champion. You can take Mercs more often than I do, because my playstyle is very safe and I would say very consistent. If you're not that consistent as I am during the games, I would recommend to take more often mercs because it helps you to survive even harder. And if you are very dominant, just take fucking berserkers. And about the shoes, on discounts, especially for every single on-hit build, if you go full crit or full lethality, you need to go berserkers every single time. Simply because you have not much attack speed from your items, and having at least some attack speed is extremely important for Master Yi. Otherwise, like, you can try it, you will know you will be pretty useless because you simply are not having too much attack speed to kill anyone. Many people come to me and ask me, what about tanky Yi playstyles? What about Hearthstone with Titanic Hydra? What about Jack Shaw? Okay, I will explain it. All good. First of all, Hearthstone is not good on Master Yi. Simply, you don't deal any damage. And I will say this right now, if you are tanky with Master Yi, you will be pretty useless. Why is that? Because you can't do any pressure. We take an enemy Lucian, for example. He can play extremely aggressive, dashing in, gale forcing in, doing whatever. Because you as Master Yi can never one-shot him or burst him down in time before he gets his dash up again, before he heals, before he does anything. So he can play extremely aggressive, and that counts for every single champion. They can play extremely aggressive once Master Yi is too tanky and doesn't do any damage. So do not go for tanky playstyles. It can work in lower elo, and yes, maybe in the very late game it can be even stronger than any other builds, but it is very unlikely to be good, especially when you want to climb. The higher elo you get, the worse it will be. Hearthstone especially, it's terrible. This is not a thing at all. Hearthstone Master Yi, get that shit out of your mind right now. Jaksho is pretty interesting, and I think there are various ways how it can work. But you need to keep one thing in mind. Master Yi is not like the champion who is trying to survive long in fights. His playstyle is very simple. You engage, you kill everyone, or you engage and you die. You're not like the kind of guy who just... That's why Yumi is also bad on Master Yi. You're not the kind of guy who wants to trade, go back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. You fight and you kill or you die. It's that simple. So that's why I don't like Jijak Show build. It can be working in some games. It can be working on some builds. As I said, I think it is not really good, and especially on higher elo it will be bad. Yeah, that's my opinion about Jaksho. You can buy it if you really want to. I think it's terrible in comparison to what you could do with Master Yi. And there's one more build path I want to talk about, and it is one I love to play and it's really funny. It is the Crit Master Yi. There, I can say it very simple. The best item build here as well. Kraken into Phantom Dancer into Navori Quickblade. I tried Infinity as well in some games. It's very nice and you deal more damage, yes. But Navori is way better. You get your Q back up instantly. And there's so many funny games where you just press Q, do your combo, and then you can Q already again. And if you get kills, you can do it even faster. It's like, Navori Quickblade is very, very fun. It is also a tiny bit weaker than the on-it build and less consistent. But I also think this is viable in at least... I would say at least 40% of the games it's an option. If you really prefer that before the on-it build, I tell you it is viable. You can play it, and I'm not the guy who says no, on-it is way better. I said it on many different builds, but the Navori Quickblade build, it is viable. You're just a little bit squishy. If you want, you can go Shield Bow instead of Kraken, but that counts for the other on-hit builds as well. Keep that always in mind. If you really need survivability, take Shield Bow instead of Kraken Slayer. I personally take Kraken almost every time because I don't care. I just find a way how I kill them with less survivability. Okay, those are all the build path, I would say build cores. Like those are the most necessary items. Everything else, like Wits End, Guardian Angel, Morph Malmurches, what even exists? I don't know. I mean, that's really it. maybe Spirit Visage, maybe Zonyas, maybe Black Cleaver. Those are all situational items. What I mean by that? You can buy them. First buy the core items, and then you can buy the situational items, whatever you feel like is good in the current situation. If you aren't the guy who wants to buy situational items, just buy GA or Death Stance every single time. It works, it's completely fine, it's completely safe, and it is for sure good. But I say situational because it really just depends on your team comp, on the enemy team comp, on the situation, how fat you are, can you play aggressive, do you have to play front to back, can you play more like an assassin? There are many things that matters on what you can buy, and situational basically means whatever you feel like. Okay, that's all you need to know about the build path. Of course, there will always exist some tricky ideas on what could be better. If you really care about like those builds I just mentioned always work, but if you really care about being up to date on the builds, then just check out my streams. I will always buy whatever I think is best on the current patches. Back here on the blue. This is terrible. Now we will be talking about, I would say, some questions which I filtered which could be very interesting from you. Okay, so the first question is what ye counter champs are, specific runes and builds for those counter champions. Okay, so first of all, what counters Master Yi? No, it's not CC, shut up. It is Burst. Anything that has Burst is extremely strong against Master Yi and is a big threat for Master Yi. That's why I put so many champions on my mobile fire guide on why they counter Master Yi. Kiana, Wukong, Kha'Zix. All these champions have an extreme amount of burst. I can count on forever. Katos. Like, Katos isn't countering Master Yi, but the burst he can provide is strong against Master Yi. And what counters Master Yi is the synergy of burst. Nidalee with a Kiana. And Riven with an, I don't know, Elise. Like all these synergies, when they insta flash and burst you down, Master Yi explodes. He just explodes. He's just dead. I don't know. Even if I build by full HP, I will be dead. It's just, you just die. And CC, of course, counters Master Yi if it's a CC chain with burst. For example, Leona, flash Q ult into Riven burst. You are dead. Flash Q ult from Riven into Set burst. Flash Q ult into Kiana burst. Flash ult into Kha'Zix jump. Into Nidalee spear. It doesn't matter. Katos ult, as I said. I can count on forever on these champions. Elise, Kennen, Kha'Zix, Lissandra, Lulu, Wukong, Renekton, Kiana. Basically, wait, I can go on. Talon, Akali, Jax, Gragas, Annie, Evelynn, LeBlanc, Zillion, Lee Sin. Anything that can knockback Master Yi, that can point and click CC Yi with burst, and anything that has an extreme amount of burst does hard counter Master Yi. And if you ask what builds and what runes counter Master Yi, everything that has burst or just helps you CC him. Electrocute, press the attack, or is a possibility runes. And then we talk about the build. Gale Force, so you can kite Master Yi better. Maybe Shield Bow. And if, like, Shield Bow is very nice because it surprises Master Yi. And now we talk about the most annoying part that exists. And Cowsap, if you see this right now, I know you feel me. It is fucking Stopwatch and Zonyas and GA. Okay. The good thing is, people buy this later on in the game, but that's why he gets hard countered, like hard outscaled in the late game, because every single champion in the game buys Zonyas and Stopwatch and GA. Yeah, if you want to counter Master Yi, I very feel bad saying this for all my Yi community, but buy Zonyas. Okay, I need to say this from... I said Katos ult before. Katos ult does not counter Master Yi because Master Yi has Q and W to annoy it. But I'm saying Katos his burst. For example, if you stand in his passive, you get half HP. And from that half HP, someone else can burst you down. If you need to use your abilities and then Katos ult comes, then you will die. I need to get this clear, otherwise you will spam my comments. Master Yi does not counter Katos does not counter Master Yi. So the second one is, what's a consistent good strategy for early game gold to plat elo, maybe also the thought process and priorities to have in game outside of early game. Okay, so basically, I would say consistency always means you take chances that are in very high favor to you and it's not flippy at all. If you take a play that has like you get a good outcome on an 85% chance, maybe 90% chance, that is also already very consistent. That also means that you will never take situations where you die. In gold, platin, a lot of people die very often during the game, not only early game, in mid game, in late game. They die often, and those are especially the things you need to avoid. How do you avoid that? You always rethink how did you die in this particular situation, how can you could have avoided it, and what you should have done next time. I think this is the most important for gold platin. Whenever they die, just there are many ways how you can avoid those deaths. Maybe you need to group more with your team. Maybe you should go for split pushing. Maybe you should have given those camps. Maybe you should have contested other camps. If you talk about pure strategy, I would never say yes. You should always split push. You should always team group. It's very simple. If you think you win the team fight and you have flash up, go for grouping with your team. Follow your strong mid laner, follow your strong top laner, follow your, let's say, your support, or they should follow you if they don't follow them. And then you win the fights, you will notice, even if you don't play that well. And if you can't team fight, if you think your team will lose the fights, if you think you're weaker, if you don't have flash up, like flash helps you a lot to engage on team fights, that's why I'm saying this all the time, then can you split push? How can you split push? You should split push on the other side where the objective spawn. For example, you give Drake so you can split push on the other side on the map. It's always interesting thought process, and the more experience you have, the more you will notice. About the macro itself, it's not easy to say this really quick in this YouTube guide video. It's just some small thoughts I want to give you on your way. If you care more about macro and if questions about this, just I said this many times, but then I will gladly answer that on my stream as well. And now let's talk about the last question. This is not Yi specific, so I will still put it in the video because I think it's extremely important for everyone who is watching this right now. So, not really about Yi, but yeah, how do you keep your mental up and don't flame your teammates in games where you play good, but for example on side of the map is just inting? Maybe a bit weird to say, but basically, how do you keep your mental up? Okay, so I say this very simple. All you can do in League of Legends and in life in general is do the absolute best with the situation you have right now. That means you cannot change whatever the companies are doing in India right now. In my position, I can't change that. It's the same. I can't change what my ADC is thinking and doing. I can't change what my top laner is doing. And I can also not change what my mid laner is typing in Champion Select and picking and selecting and playing. All you can do is focus on the best, on your own gameplay, on your mistakes, on your deaths, on your playstyle. And trust me, there are many mistakes you do during your games. And there are also many mistakes I do during my games. Your mental and my mental got way better by accepting the fact that there's things I have no control over and I just take the full responsibility of my own gameplay. That means my bot laner died. Could I have done anything to change it? Could I have communicated better? Should I have pinged more? Should I have scared them off? Should I have pathed to bot to help them? Should I have counter ganked? If not, then it's fine. I go focus on the next play, focus on the next game. If yes, I could have changed something, I think, okay, how could I have changed it? How could I have played it? Okay, interesting. And then I've tried to find a way how I make it exactly like I said it, and then I will do it exactly for the next games. This is also a part what I do in my coaching session. I just explain it very well. And personally for me, I don't know how it's for you, but the mental increases a lot the more responsibility you take, because then the more you can change during the games. You just focus always on your own gameplay. If your bot laner goes 0-20 and you go 20-0 and you lose, maybe you lost because you didn't ping bot lane. Maybe you lost because you didn't counter gank bot lane. That helped me a lot. A lot of people wanted me to put my full clear on both sides, red to blue and also blue to red, and how fast I am. But I will post that on another video on another time, because the video will get way too fucking long. It is already way too fucking long. I know I said it's gonna be 3 questions, but I just got a very nice DM in. I'm gonna answer that one as well. So, hey Sinerias, from your video, I know I should always go for the most gold income because Yi scales are hard with it. Problem is, should I buy pink wards with Yi? They are kinda expensive and throw my lead back, so I'm never really sure if I should buy them. Thanks for the DM, Jaquel. First of all, they are not called pink wards, they are called control wards. Yeah, we are not, it's not 20 years ago. Keep that in mind. The second thing is, yes, you should. I would recommend to always buy control wards. I know those are expensive and he's the best gold scaling champion in the game, but control wards helps you in so many situations. I would always recommend you to buy it. If you want to play a little bit safer, you can buy one control ward, place it in a safe way, for example on top of the red buff bush, maybe around the blue buff, and you're absolutely fine. I personally take control wards and play very, very aggressive with them. If they're gonna get cleared, I just buy them again. I would never buy more than one. I would always have at least one. If you have one on the map, don't buy one. If you don't have one on the map, buy one. Always the same. Never have two on the slot. Okay, now let's focus on one very important last topic. We will change the color on the background here as well. It is for the summoner spells on Master Yi. Alright, finally we changed the color here now as well. It's time to explain a lot of things. Flash is the best.